Islam was once the great friend of the Jewish people. We Jews were kicked out of Spain in 1492, Portugal 1503. Where did we go? The Christian countries wouldn't accept us, but the Ottoman Turks would. That's why you have a Jewish community in Istanbul till this very day. When I sit with my Islamic brothers and sisters, I say to them, you have to rescue your religion not because I'm offended as a Jew or because bombs are going off in Israel, which is bad enough. It's rather because you are part of such a glorious faith that has such a golden history, and this is what it's come to. And why has it come to this in the Middle East? Because the Arabs want the Middle East to look Arab. They want it to feel Arab. They feel that Israel's a bacillus, a germ. They don't see that Israel can enrich them with difference, and it really can. Israel is teaching the Arab countries the blessings of democracy. Let me prove it. In 1993, when Israel and the PLO, which later became the Palestinian Authority, signed the Oslo agreements, and now you had Yasser Arafat having dominion in 90% of the West Bank. All Israel's Arabs, 1 million strong, and the Palestinians who lived under Israeli rule could easily have moved to finally live under Arab rule, under Arab sovereignty. So you know how many elected to move of the 1 million? The statistic that I saw was 4,000. So the Arabs are complaining day and night. We're being oppressed by Israel. And yet when the PLO set up its regime, they refused to live under the PLO. The reason? Because with the PLO, you get to vote for one person, Yasser Arafat. People don't want to live under sameness. They don't want to live under authoritarian control. As it applies to modern-day Christianity, are Christians putting explosives on themselves and blowing themselves up? God forbid. I am on record as saying, I wrote a famous article about my love affair with evangelical Christians. Whatever issues I have with some of my evangelical brothers and sisters, the fact is that they go around the world and they open orphanages, they open hospitals. I have evangelical missionary friends who are living out in the wilds of Africa with almost no money, and they're feeding starving children every single day, and no one... And by the way, I'm one of the judges for CNN Heroes this year, the telecast with Anderson Cooper that will air on Thanksgiving. It's a great honor. I'm in company that I don't deserve to be in. The Queen of Jordan is one of the judges, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Richard Branson. I'm not as rich as these people. I don't know what I'm doing. Magic Johnson, could you see me dunking the ball? Okay, he's one of the judges too. Do you know that half the people who are being nominated are Christians? Because half the people doing this kind of work around the world, it's probably more than half, that is deserving of recognition by CNN Heroes are Christians. If you saw the telecast last year, you would have seen that. One speech after another. You never see this on American TV, on CNN. One recipient after another getting up and saying, and I want to thank Jesus and for inspiring me. It was a bit, then Anderson Cooper gets back, he doesn't know what to say. Oh. I've learned, I work in television, I've learned long ago, go to any of your television producer friends and just say to them, God bless you. They go, oh, yeah, yeah, and have a good day. Yeah, okay. Thank you. They don't know, because God is not exactly on people's lips. But as far as my Christian brothers and sisters are concerned, we're not talking about, Doug, history of violence. Christianity has a serious history of violence. We're all well aware of crusades and inquisitions and pogroms and the Holocaust, which was perpetrated by Nazi pagans, but was never objected to by Pope Pius XII. And Benedict XVI now wants to beatify him and canonize him, and he doesn't deserve it. He absolutely does not. He was a moral coward who never publicly objected to the Holocaust. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. Because there's no inherent flaws in Christianity. There are verses in the New Testament, John chapter 8, calling Jews vipers, scorpions, and snakes. But again, you could take that and you can reinterpret it. When I debated Dr. Michael Brown, one of the world's greatest evangelical scholars, he and I have had maybe 20 debates. You can see them all on YouTube. He said this applied to Jews who were wicked, collaborators of Rome. You can interpret these verses so that they never really are violent toward Jews. What we're talking about is modern times. We're talking about last week, Doug. The evangelical Christian community got behind Proposition 8 in California. They wanted to make sure that gay marriage was banned in the United States. Now, I'm not going to make this a forum into gay marriage. I understand the strong arguments as to why we should be opposed to gay marriage, and I understand the strong arguments as to why we should be in favor of gay marriage. And perhaps the Jewish Values Network will do a debate on that in a few weeks' time. But let me ask you a question, honestly. Even if you're opposed to gay marriage because you think that the Bible calls it an abomination, or you're opposed to gay marriage because you have a personal distaste for it, or you're opposed to gay marriage because you just think that it's not something that kids have to see, whatever your reason is, don't tell me that you're opposed to gay marriage to rescue straight heterosexual marriage. Give me a break. The only people who want to get married today are gay men. Every time a straight guy, straight guy goes out with his girlfriend, and the girlfriend says, honey, we've been dating now for 500 years, and I was just wondering that maybe, we can get married. And as soon as the word comes out of her mouth, he is hyperventilating on the floor. They've called clear. Meanwhile, the gay guys have all their lawyers at the Supreme Court, and they're petitioning to get married. Christianity can bring so many important values to America. Instead, it chooses to fight. Why wasn't there some ballot in California to make marital counseling tax deductible in the United States so that straight couples who are having real problems can get the counseling they need? It's $200 an hour. A lot of people can't afford it in today's economy. Why did they do some proposition to do what we're doing, the Jewish Values Network, to turn Friday night into family night? Give American kids, American families, one night a week where they don't have to compete against 500 TV stations to get their parents' attention, against the crackberries and the telephones. Give non-Jewish Christian kids a Jewish Shabbos. My Jewish kids, I can't have any electronic noise. I actually have to listen to my kids and invite guests over once a week. But no, how are we going to save marriage? We're going to stop those gay guys. That's just picking a fight. That's part of a militant tradition that needs to identify someone as a boogeyman. If we could snap our fingers and every gay man or woman in America would turn into a straight man or woman, would that affect the 50% divorce rate? Would that affect the 1 out of 3 American women who are on an antidepressant? Would that affect the 1 out of 5 teenagers who are cutters, who cut their skin to feel some darn emotion because teenagers are just deadened with all the junk being pumped into their cerebral cortex? Come on. Does anyone believe this stuff? What about abortion? The evangelical community has made abortion the big bigaboo of American politics. So much so that, is it a litmus test to get on the Supreme Court? We have to divide the country over abortion? What is abortion? 99% of abortions are a guy sleeping with a woman he doesn't necessarily love. She gets pregnant. She's abandoned and left alone. So she says, I can't raise this baby alone, or maybe I'm too young, and she decides to have an abortion. Why isn't the issue bring people together? The most secular feminists, the most religious Christians agree that we should respect women, don't they? That we should create a new culture where men ought to not use women for sex, should not string women along and whisper nice things in their ears that they don't mean. That's something we can get together on. But instead, the Christian community continues to create the us and them mentality. All these boogeymen that have to be fought. And that's why we don't have peace. That's why America is not a place that has any values. Because every time we try to bring the values, it's always with a fight. Who could object to turn Friday night into family night? Who could object to my message throughout my life? I've written so many books about this, about men learning to respect women. Who can object to that? Who can object that that sex should be carried on a relationship about real love? Do you know any real secular person that's going to say, no, I actually believe that women should be used for sex? So that's the problem. We don't have a monist view of the world. It's a dualist view. There's always the devil and us. Except, and this is my final comment, when it comes to things that deserve to be fought. Osama bin Laden. I was shocked, Doug, when you said in Chicago that you love Osama bin Laden. You hate his actions, but you love him. You really believe that that's what Jesus meant when he said, love your enemies? Love your enemies. Your enemy is the guy who wants to take your promotion at work. Your enemy is the guy who takes your parking spot. Your enemy is the cousin who gossiped about you and you won't invite him to Thanksgiving dinner. Jesus said, overcome that pettiness and love. But Osama bin Laden is God's enemy. You think God wants you to love someone who made innocent Americans jump from 110 stories and their babies were orphaned forever? You're supposed to love that man? That's insanity. That's religion as an abomination. Barack Obama said in the debate that he would kill Osama bin Laden, that third debate with John McCain.